Welcome. 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 I welcome you with all my heart. It is my joy to be here with you in satsang today. I hope you can feel my joy as your own. Nobody teaches like I do that I've been able to find. A long time ago, I got rid of concepts. My whole life had been obsessed with ideas. 2 PhD studies, one resulting in a PhD. A master's in city planning, a BA in philosophy and economics with a heavy smattering of physics. And then 51 years of studying with various Zen masters and spiritual teachers from many different traditions. Every one of them, except Sun San Sinim, every one of them except for him, wanted to fill me with concepts. It's all about ideas, about no separate self, no self, self, oneness, emptiness, the void, the concept of I am, energies, all kinds of crap. Mundane education is much, much worse. Education about how to do construction, how to do finance, how economics works, how banks work, how to be an auto mechanic, how to be an office worker, how to make soybean products. It's all concepts. And I noticed that spiritual people on Facebook, they talk to each other as if the other person used the concepts in the same way, but I could hear and I can see by what they were saying, they had different concepts. And both seemed to be arguing about the same thing, but in fact, they had very different ideas, and it wasn't coming across they had different ideas until some third party pointed out that they were cross-talking without making any sense. And such is the case with all concepts. We can never know precisely how another person takes the word God, what it means for them. I know for so many people, God means the creator of the universe that stands above it and guides every action. But for me, God is that which I experience as God, the life force. And the life force arises out of matter, but I don't consider matter God. I consider sentience God, sensations, experiencing an experiencer. I experience that as God. But I am also like that. Like God, I incarnate into physical body. God is in the same body with me. I feel his presence. It's a him or a her, whatever you want. Gender doesn't play a role. But you can give it a gender. And for me, it's more comfortable to say that that God in me is male. It feels at times like female, but It feels more comfortable to say that that God inside of me is male. He doesn't really have a form. Sometimes I see him as a mass of electricity, like lightning bolts, and I feel his power. I see his white light against the background of white light, but he's 100,000 times lighter. He lights up the universe, just as the light of consciousness lights the universe. I feel him inside of me, and I love him, and I adore him, and I am devoted to him. And because of him, I have no fear. So many people live in fear of death, of the energies, of war, of losing their job, losing their love. I sort of look forward to that as a new experience. The ability to feel maximum emotional pain is a new experience. The experience of death, the ultimate relaxation, will be another new experience. Knowing emptiness constantly will be another experience. Everything can be a new experience once you stop thinking. Then you're not seeing the world organized in terms of concepts, but as it is, without words, without ideas, and it's constantly changing, changing, changing. Now I teach in a very different way. Robert was perhaps the most enlightened man I ever knew. There was something about him. He was so distant, like he wasn't part of this world at all. Only once saw him get upset, or twice get upset. He rarely laughed too. He'd sort of chuckle once in a while. He only got angry a couple of times. He got upset when he was moving to Los Angeles because he didn't know his body could take the journey or not. But his teachings were so weird to open up satsang and say, you don't exist. You're not real. Ignore the world. Pay no attention to the world. It's not real either. And I would say to myself, what the fuck is he talking about? And I listened to him year after year after year for 8 years. Same old talk. You are consciousness. You are Brahman. You're not a human being. Don't react to the world. Don't react to anything. Your only power is to turn within and ignore the world. It seemed to me that he was choosing death over life and calling it something beyond and great. And so many people I saw left. They couldn't practice self-inquiry by looking inside all the time and looking for their self or looking for the I thought because it was boring or they couldn't do it. I got very good at it. This introversion, this turning inside, feeling into oneself, looking into oneself and finding emptiness and finding God. It's a whole new way of life. It was so different from being a member of the mundane world, going to work, coming home, going shopping, cooking dinner, or more likely microwaving dinner. The mundane world was the one you had to live in before you found spirituality. Then you find the real life, the life that seems alive, that seems divine, that's totally devoid of the feeling of being mundane. It's always a jewel. It's like living in a jewel. It's always living in joy. It's always living in a changing universe. But I had an enlightenment experience with Robert, where I realized that the I am points to nothing, and there is no I am inside of me. That the I am concept points to nothingness. And for 15 years or so, I dwelled in nothingness. Now that was boring because I couldn't get out of it. I tried to drill my way through nothingness, and there was no end to the nothingness. I thought I had to drill my way through to the other side to find enlightenment. But shit, that's all that there was nothingness. The great void. It's sort of like Ralph's unending tea. It never stopped. And then I found a new way. Through love, finding love and loving the life force I felt in someone else. And that her life force directed towards me, to loving me, to comforting me. Several things happened. Many psychological wounds were cleared up because I received the love that was offered to me, as well as loved her with nothing held back, total devotion. And that healed certain things in me, like for the first time feeling loved by the woman I love. I hadn't felt that way with my mother, who was depressed most of the time when I was young because my father was either absent or cheating on her. So I never felt her love, and she apologized for it later in life. But with this woman, I felt her love. And I felt a click inside of me around here, in the lower chest, upper abdomen. And after that, everything changed because I finally felt loved. And something changed. I became more courageous. It's like finally part of an emptiness in me had been filled. Part of a self-worth problem in me had been resolved. And I love myself too. And on the other hand, continuing in that relationship, I found God in an experience, an enlightenment experience, the second one. And after I found God, suddenly everything in life was clear. I didn't have to listen to Robert. I didn't have to listen to Muktananda. I didn't have to listen to anyone. Not Rajesh, not Krishnamurti. No one. No one. The 7 Zen masters I studied under. I listened to one of them who knew what I was saying and what I was experiencing. It was Sun Sun Sunim. But I've been teaching, starting in the style of Robert Adams, because that was my first awakening experience. And then I realized I can't do that anymore, because not too many people ever got to the experience of emptiness. And when they got there, they didn't really like it. It was boring, and it was a relief from suffering, but there was no life there. It's a lot like taking a heavy tranquilizer. The depression, not tranquilizer, heavy antidepressant. You get over the depression, but you don't have any emotions at all anymore. You feel like you lose a part of yourself. I had major depression when a cat died. I took a heavy antidepressant. The depression abated within a few weeks. But for years afterwards, I didn't feel anything in terms of emotions. Nothing. So I stopped taking the antidepressant so I could go mad again. So I could feel depressed, feel love, feel. And I just see so many people going to so many different teachers, running around, because they're looking for answers here. Here. They talk about neo-advaita. They talk about self, no self. They think when they understand the concept of no self, if they're enlightened, they go around talking about no self and driving everybody crazy. Facebook is filled with these kinds of teachers. For them, spirituality is purely conceptual, understanding ideas about the nature of reality instead of directly living in that reality. And I know that the problem is concepts. Concepts as a stand-in for direct understanding of yourself and of God. Not through understanding, but by experiencing. So a few years ago, I threw out all ideas when I teach. And instead, I tried to bathe you in the love that I felt with her, that soothed my soul and gave me God. I do it with my voice. I do it with the way I talk. I do it with the tone of my voice. And I do it with my intentionality of speaking in such a way to soothe your heart, to make you feel held, to make you feel loved, and to tell you there's a better life. This ugly world that most of us live in is not the true world. It's the mundane world. It's the world enforced by society's understanding. We're brought up in a civilization where everybody thinks more or less alike. And if they don't, they're ostracized. And that common world, I call the mundane world of everyday life, of the everyday person. And if you want to leave the everyday life of the everyday person and become something more than that, you really have to become something less, which means you don't have any ideas about the world anymore. But you experience it directly by shutting up and just looking. And when you look inside yourself, you have to learn to look with love and acceptance, as well as at the external world. It's a world of silence, but it's filled with everything. The silence means there's no more concepts. There's just looking and feeling. Feeling the breeze on your face. Feeling the birds outside. Feeling the sound of the sounds they make. Hearing and feeling the flutter of their wings. And at deep night, to feel the silence of the sky. And also to know God within. So I talk and talk and talk and talk. But I'm not talking about what's real or not real. Because you're born and brought up being told what's real or not real. And if I say something different, you won't believe it. So instead, in all my talks, it's like that musical instrument, that Indian instrument, I forget the name of it, that's like a ball on the bottom. It has a long arm sticking up and has anywhere from 1 to 3 strings. Tambura, I believe. And when you listen to chanting.
It could be sitar.
What?
Sitar?
No.
Okay, tambur.
Tambur. Yes.
Yeah. No, you're right.
So my voice is like in the middle of the chanting. You hear that 1 or 2 strings playing, the common note throughout the 10 minutes of the chanting. You hear the one note going, that one note on the tambura stands for the self. Now in Advaita, the self is the witness beyond life in the ultimate, in a different dimension. And it is not itself subject to life or death. But for me, the self is something, it's always present in me, always felt in me as light and energy and as feeling, as being alive, the sense of sentience, the thing that can make you say, I feel alive, I have come alive. And I sing also, I tell you also about God in that single note. I talk around and around and around and around. But the concepts are not to be tried to understand, but to flow with them, flow around and around and around. You sort of go into a hypnotic state, and it takes you out of the mundane world and takes you into my world of incarnated self, my world of the life force, my world of God, my world of divine love. I try to take you out of your world where the love is petty and small and explode it 1,000-fold into the complete divine devotional love of God. And I know I don't do this to everybody during every satsang, but with repetition, you begin to know what I mean. You begin to feel it. Look at Rolf's shining face, he knows it well. Mark's face shows it well. Stevie's smile, he's not dead, no. He's feeling happy. Same with Jay. He feels the love, but not the glory so much yet. He's getting there. And Shane. What a loyal friend he's been over the years in a far off island of Australia. So, when you come to satsang, it's a very different way I teach, because I don't believe in words. I don't trust words. I don't trust scriptures. I don't read the Ramayana. I don't read the Vedas. Even if I did, they make no sense to me. I can read a book, look at a book, read all the words, and it doesn't make any sense to me. But what makes sense to me, what I can always feel, is the life force in another person that I'm talking to, that I'm with. I can feel the quality of it, how calm it is, how alive it is, how much joy there is, although Angela fools me a lot. And I try to join with where you are. And to tell you a little bit about the space that I know after I fell in love with a woman and experienced God. It's like nothing I had ever known before. All that there is that constant feeling of love, immense power, absolute certainty, feeling that you're a grown-up, feeling that you're grounded in God, feeling that you're almost the center of the universe, even though you don't believe in the concept of the universe. But around and around, my voice takes you and spins you from the mundane world into this next world. And I try to take so many people with me, as many as I can, to go around and round and ascend out of the mundane world into the divine. Because if you keep coming to this satsang, you'll get it at some point. You'll feel the movement of God inside of you. It first starts by feeling energies. I know Robert said you shouldn't try to feel energies. They'll just get you enamored, and you'll spend your time playing around with energies. And the thing is, it's really fun to be played by the energies or to play with the energies. It's not that dull shit you go through with Advaita where you're lost in the emptiness and you tell about how peaceful you feel. With the energies, you tell people how much love you feel. You tell people how much bliss you feel, how much energy you feel, how you feel on top of the universe, that you escaped the hell that everybody else was in, of everyday life, 9-to-5 jobs, mortgage, student loans, taxes, and rules everywhere. Housing association rules, landlord rules, taxes, government, rules. And I desperately tried to lift you out of that hellhole that I escaped from 10 years ago, after 40 years of searching and many different kinds of enlightenments. And it all started with feeling the energies, and then the remarkable thing that happened is I learned how not to believe anything my mind said. Not one word was true. Not one idea I had was true. And if I throw away all words, I learn nothing except freedom. I look around this room It could be that 20 years ago, I'd look around the room. I might feel depression. I might feel some sort of negativity of having to clean up, or the room is dirty, or something like that. And now I look and I just find fascination seeing the way the light changes, the fan makes the light change, and how that feels inside of my heart. And how I can look at television and listen to those absurd stories that Karima likes to listen to on television all the time, or listen to the absurd stories they tell on NBC, MSNBC, RT, or any other place. Stories, stories, stories. And how people feel a desperate need to listen to stories, whether they're mainstream stories or alternative sources of news, like Truth Out or RT. So, I wish we had somebody that played the tambura all during our satsang, and it reminded you of love, and it reminded you of that deathless spirit in you that keeps throbbing. Once you get out of the mundane spirit, unmundane world, and make that transition to be inner oriented, and then you see God and feel God, and at the same time you discover yourself as incarnated, everything changes. Words go out the door. You don't need words anymore because you know God and you know yourself simultaneously. And at the same time, you feel the energies now, because the energies are the voice of God. It's the way that life force talks to us on a much higher level than with words or even emotions. The energies massage us, make us feel joy, give us such incredible sensitivity so that with our fingers, we can feel the fabric around us of the universe and of our own life, beating like a heartbeat, being profound like a mountain, being still as the heaven, and feeling energy pouring through our body, and even not knowing the body, just feeling the pouring energies pouring through us of life and the life force. And from then on, the only thing that you care about is the life force. You lose any kind of interest in the world. And it's that life force that keeps welling up in you. It's like a blowtorch, like one of those roadside safety flares that sets off and starts burning, 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 endlessly burning, and making these sounds of shh with the dark smoke blowing off of it. All of this is always going on in you in a way. This was just an analogy, a metaphor. But you find it in you, this force that just keeps spinning and turning and yielding energy and changing with bliss and with joy. And you say, my God, I'm so happy now that I finally found it. It took me 51 years. No, 41 years. I want to give it to you in 1 year. I think Rolf did it in 6 months. He must have practiced other things beforehand. Jay, I desperately want you to have the full experience of the explosion of God within you and of love within you. Not just feeling the love here, but feeling it yourself constantly in the rising of the energy of God and of the life force within you, and then finding yourself being of identical material than that life force. You are spirit. Shane, you are spirit, and you know it. Mark, so are you. You know it. Raju is getting there. Laya and Vladimir look interested. What is this old fucker talking about? Does he know his ass from a hole in the ground? Or is he another fake? Michael T. has been quiet for 2 satsangs in a row. Something's wrong. Are there any questions?
Hi, Michael T.
Yes.
Sorry to spoil your momentum with the question, because we all know questions are conceptual in nature. But it's interesting that you mentioned about tranquilizers, because about 3 years ago, I had I was put under, and in that it gave a new name of emptiness and void. For that time period, I was absolutely out of existence. So I dare to ask the question, does Shakti rekindle after death? Because there seems to be, like, when the brain and the heart stops, that there's a huge hurdle after that. And,
a huge what?
Huge hurdle to go over. After being put under a complete tranquilizer, I was completely a zero, non-existent. So my question is does Shakti rekindle at any point for an advanced practitioner?
Does Shakti rekindle after death?
Yes.
Are you really asking, do you live after death?
Yes. Does light come about after that? Because I mean, I have some sense of energy, and not when I'm awake, definitely. But when I was under that kind of drug, I was zero, absolute nothing.
Well, first of all, let's make a distinction between emptiness, which is like infinite space, the kind where you're like in the mountains and it's at night and you see the Milky Way and the billions of stars, and you feel so alone in the vastness of space. When you can feel that kind of vastness inside of yourself, that's called the void or emptiness. But emptiness and the void are still experiences. When even the experience of emptiness or the void goes, that's nothingness. And you know what the experience of nothingness was like. So it appears that there's something beyond both emptiness and the world that's apart from you. The enlightened say that that witness is never touched by life or death. It's always immortal. It's the unborn. While anything that you experience is part of existence, is part of life. I have no idea what's going to be like with the death experience, except I know that I'll probably, as I fade, go from a sense of instantaneous panic when I feel death coming to more and more relaxation and deeper relaxation. And I know the most profound experiences of relaxation can be the most fantastically exquisite experiences. What happens after that, I don't know. For Nisargadatta and for the Buddhists, some Buddhists, there's no reincarnation because there's no self. Others claim to have experienced re-entering life, that they can choose to be born again somewhere. And some Buddhists believe that, and most Hindus do to a certain extent. I don't know. I haven't died yet. When I do, I'll come back and tell you.
Thanks, Ed.
You're welcome. Angela, do you want to say something? Last time you didn't want to say anything. I felt like I was trying to pull teeth to get you to say something. Can I pull your teeth again to say something this time? How do you experience my satsang, our satsang?
Do that. Just leave me alone. I don't have anything to share. I'm not enlightened yet. When I am, I will share it.
What's that? You're
So
not.
when I'm enlightened, I will share it.
No, you've got to learn to open up. Really, that's one of the essential points of my teaching, is everybody is so hiding of themselves because they feel ashamed of themselves, or they feel too ordinary, or if they open their mouth, they'll say something stupid and people will look down on them. So,
Okay, I will share, but you have to help me what to share. I don't know what to share. I'm just, I have been experiencing Ed's energy really, really intensely this week. And it just grabs me completely and takes me to all kinds of experiences of love and devotion. And it sometimes confuses me because I can experience these very deep feelings of love and devotion, even though I cannot feel my heart. It's like the energies create states which are energy but feel like they are my whole being. And also I'm going through this week just being, it's like the energy does it. It's like the energy pushes me to seeing more and more clearly that my whole life seems to be moving on, feeling unseen and unloved, and craving for this. Like I'm searching everywhere to be seen and loved, and continuously every situation and every feeling and every word that comes out of me is coming from this, it seems. So today
why do you feel not loved? How long have you felt that way? When did you first know this as being a central feeling?
Well, I guess the answer to that is today. Today it became really clear. This week it became really clear. It's like something that you feel that I've been feeling, but not as clearly as that my every part of my life is just really coming from this. And I don't know how many years I have been feeling that I knew that my craving is to be seen and loved from like on the deepest core of what I am. So yeah, this is what I can share and what maybe some people recognize in their own way.
Well, you make me feel like shit because I've been telling you how much I love you for a couple of years now, and it's not doing any good. What about you, Stevie? You tell her how you love her all the time, and it's not working. She still needs more. You got to step it up, buddy. Ralph, tell Angela what you think about her.
I love her too.
In what way?
I feel the love in my heart for her. So
Tell me about it. Express it to her.
I am, in a way, I never questioned it that there is love and for me and in me, and I feel it. And the first thought that arises in my head as she tells her story was, I can't understand it because I think everyone in the satsang is loving her. So sometimes I think the problem is again the mind who tells that there is no love, and so all the love is in a way shaded or not seen, but it's there. The love is there, and I feel the love, and I send her love, and so I think the problem is again the mind.
Her mind.
Her mind, yes. And I'm very, very glad and very blessed that my mind is so dumb that I have no questions. I just take what comes, and it feels so good. I'm so fleshed, and
You're dumb as a rock.
In a way, spiritually, absolutely. It's the same way as you said. I can't read any book anymore. It's and even you at your satsangs, I have to admit that sometimes if you tell about self and no self, my mind goes, okay, I have no clue.
Well, I'll tell you all a little secret, but you already know this. The stuff that I'm saying is bullshit. Robert admitted that the words don't make any sense. And I know that they don't make any sense. But I want you to listen to my voice as if it did make sense, but you don't have to try to make sense of it. Just listen to the sound of my voice, because I'm talking about a world, a universe, a way of life that's way beyond the mundane world. And all you have to do is hold on to the voice, and I can take you there.
Exactly. It's
I could go la 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 la, and it could do the same. I would just have to say la 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 better.
Yes, it's sometimes you made some humming, or you are singing with chantings, and my Shakti goes crazy. So
I know mine does too.
I feel your voice, and this time it was. Last week I thought more is not possible, but
That's great. We're doing
I'm
so well.
Yes, I think, and I think Shakti is teaching me more and more and revealing her more and more, and every meditation I'm learning more and I'm discovering more, and
And the discovery and the learning has nothing to do with the learning and discovering you had 5 years ago.
No, and it's nothing. It's absolutely had nothing to do with the mind. So I don't question anything that's coming up. All is done by
felt as an increased security inside yourself.
Yes.
Like
yes.
more and more power and armor is
Yes.
being added to your sense of self, right?
Yes. I feel blessed. I feel peace. I feel, and I get a glimpse at the I have the feeling that the door is opening at the moment slowly, and I have totally trust in the power of the energies, and I have the knowing that there for the energies there is no limit. It's not that I can do it, but I feel that it's limitless.
Yes, it is. It truly is.
So I'm just following what comes, and there's so much love, and I feel the love, and
Tell Angela, please, that you love her.
yes,
Like you really
absolutely,
mean it.
absolutely. So you just have to open and to let
No,
go.
you tell her right now.
Oh, I love you, Angela.
Now, Mark.
Let me just say, Angela, that I do love you very much. I love your girlish smile and laugh when you finally relax and let go, and your mischievous, obstinate attitude at times, your quirkiness. I really, really do love you. I think I speak for all of us here. What I'd like to articulate about myself is that, yes, Ed, when you talk, it's like you're articulating around the exact thing that I experience all the time. And as you, during satsang, I feel a reinforcement due to your sharing of the same experience that I'm experiencing. And I don't mean to sound boastful, but what it feels like is my body-mind is now totally transparent. It's like an open aperture, and it's in reception mode. And what's receiving is the energy, which guides me through bliss and through euphoria and through well-being and through spaciousness. It's as if it's saying, here, you feel this? This is what I'm talking about. This is where it's at. You're getting the idea. Yes, yes, this is it, yes. And it keeps, and the well-being and euphoria is often very subtle, but it's there. And as I extend into it, it goes on and on and on, and it articulates, and it has like infinite depth. So before, when I was in my apparently separate body-mind, I would have like paper cutouts of emotions, paper cutouts of experiences, temporary enjoyments. Now I have this thing which is ongoing, which is multifaceted without, it's like it's the real thing. And my mind is dumb as a rock, and my system is in equilibrium, my body-mind is in equilibrium. It's superimposed on this energy, which I realize is me, and which is increasing in its vitality, in its resilience,
Yes.
and in its depth all the time. It's like I'm becoming more and more this mountain of bliss.
Yes.
That's it. That's what I have to tell you. It's yes, thank you.
Very good. Very, very, very lovely. Good. Now, Jay, I got to tell you, I love you so much. There's something about you. I think it's your devotional attitude, whatever it is, your life with your cat, which is like my life with my collie, touches me so deeply. And more than anything in the world, I want you to have the experience of the fullness of God and of your own true self within you. As much as you want it, I want it for you.
I love you, Ed. I keep rehearsing answers as your reservoir of love, Shakti, channeling through you, and all the answers turn to bullshit. I just am in awe. There's such a reservoir of love here. It's galvanic. It's just simply extraordinary. I love what you just said. Wednesdays and Sundays are Shakti just becomes stronger, and the rest of the days of the week it becomes stronger. Many things. I'm still living conceptually, trying to find awareness through the mind. One moment trying to go dumb as a rock, the next moment. But so much more of it becomes clearer. And I love Angela. I do. I think as Rolf said, the love here is palpable, extraordinary, gentle. It's all because of you, Edgy. I love you.
That's not enough.
Okay, well,
You're going to get a lot more of this.
I'll rehearse some more answers.
You don't have to. I'm going to give it to you. I'm going to force it down your throat.
Okay.
I love you so much.
I love you so
much. I really
much.
do.
Shared.
Now, can we get a national TV show called The Ashram?
Talk to my wife. She's the broadcast executive. I actually had to report to her for many years. I still do, but that's a different story.
Yeah, I know. Matthew, do you have anything to say?
I have a question about.
Can't hear you.
Me? No. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have a question about inquiry. So I've been practicing inquiry for a few months now, and it's sort of culminated in like a loving, spacious awareness in my heart, in my chest, I would say, like around here. And I suppose it's a question of whether to continue sort of inquiring or rest in that sense.
Yeah, you can practice that as long as it doesn't get too dry.
Mm.
I found out that generally self-inquiry produces dullness and emptiness only.
Mm.
But if you feel for the self within, instead of looking for it, instead of using the visual sense for looking around inside for the I or the I thought, instead you feel for your own heart and the sense of being alive, that's perfectly okay.
Mm.
But the best practice is coming to satsang, because there's something happening here that will never happen just by yourself. Here there's the presence of God in mysterious ways in a satsang, and how he speaks to us with the Shakti during satsang. A lot more usually than when we're by ourselves, because it's moving through all of us. He sees a meeting here devoted to knowing him and to knowing yourself. So his presence is more profound, and he can make profound things happen, maybe not during satsang, but in the days between satsang. Now, we've increased satsang to twice a week, and I really enjoy it, and hopefully that's a quickening. My only disappointment is we don't have a physical ashram. That's my only disappointment. I wish those who wanted to live this lifestyle were together in communion, feeling our togetherness, having chanting more frequently, sitting together in the morning maybe, talks every night, only more personally, more heart to heart, where we could actually feel the presence of each other better than we can through Zoom.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Now, Veselina, tell me, how do you love Angela?
I love her like I love you sometimes.
And how is that?
I don't know, it's just a very strong feeling I have in my gut sometimes.
What's the feeling like?
Well, it's like the spaciousness, something. I don't know, like there is a space for her in me that I love. I don't know what it is. But I feel love for her and I think about her.
Good.
And I want her to be well.
Good. I love you too. Okay. Vladimir and Lulia, let's hear about you, your experiences. Don't rush to talk. I didn't ask you how to balance the national budget. Just how are you feeling?
Today I'm lost. I feel lost.
Yeah, right now.
Yeah, you know everything about me and about us. It's
Glad you could come. You'll get a feel for it eventually. Lilia, you going to attempt to talk?
I just like to be here.
What?
I like to be here. I enjoy satsang.
Good. Good. Spencer, how are you?
I'm good. It's easier when I'm at satsang to feel bliss and ecstasy. Like during the week, if I'm at work or, it seems more subtle then, but during satsang it seems a lot more noticeable. And so I agree with you. I think it's a good idea to keep coming, as much as you can to satsang, and you just get used to feeling that. And for me, I'm trying to feel that more during the week, like that, where it's not so subtle, where it's like the object, more the object of my focus and not just the background, which can be hard if if you're at work and you feel like there's all these things you have to do and pay attention to. But I'm trying to ignore those and just let those things take care of themselves.
Yep. Keep coming. Everybody, bring your one-stringed instrument next time and play it all through satsang. BJ, how you feeling?
Today I'm feeling very good. Feeling a lot of energy, trying to be out of head into the body, feeling the body like emptiness, and feeling everyone, trying to feel the energies. I just since being in the head for longest time, if you actually ask me, so do you feel love? I don't even know what it is, other than when I hear, let's say, Angela, I'll use a word called I love you, but I have feeling for you, the compassion, if you call that, is love, and it is strong. Over the period, what I understood is, I was always like, I things should go in my way. Everything is me. I don't like that, or I don't like this, or I like that, or I like this. Everything, my attention was always, or have been always, in the head instead of being in the body, in just feeling others, feeling everything, environment. So I practicing sort of like I'm not paying attention to my image, how people feel my image, or trying my best to do all that, and trying to be in the body and trying to understand feel the environment energies, as you said, Ed. Nowadays, I think I'm more getting out of the head into the body, or actually into the feeling, trying to develop my feeling part, which I never had, if I could say. I was totally zero on feeling part. Attending this satsanga helped me understand feeling part. So now I understood that that's only, or that is the best way of feeling self and feeling the God, feeling energies and all that. Than in getting into the head, thinking that, oh, I should go this way, should go that way, that I only like that, or I don't like this, or you should respect me, or you should recognize me as a great person, or whatever the crap I have been living in the shell. That's feeling is helping me. I'm just feeling the body, trying to feel that as an emptiness, the whole body, energies, and this environment. But I'm not there yet, but still making efforts just to spending some time on that feeling part.
At this point now, it's been many months. What do you think of Rajiv's remarks that he left about you months ago?
Well, I thought, okay, that's his whatever his comments. I stopped caring about. I didn't take into anything. If he thinks that's the case, I don't know. I'm just trying my best to get wherever it's required to go. Yeah, that's I don't give anything to whatever you said. I don't even. I saw rare that I get that thought. What he talked about and what he commented on could be true. I don't know. I don't care.
I still hold him in contempt for doing that, what he said. That's not something you tell a person.
Yeah, I mean, if it is me, then probably I would send my complete love to the person and just keep quiet. So probably he has different style.
Oh yeah, that's for sure. Arrogant Indian, it's called. Okay, thank you.
I thought it is completely sounded like.
Raju, how are you? Can't hear you. No sound.
Sorry, I was on mute. I always have a lot to say about, but looking at the time, I don't know. Some are probably trying to get a little bit more of the Sunday, and some are probably trying to get to sleep. But I always feel so blessed and so blessed to be here. Just to focus on Angela, I mean, I have a lot to talk about, but just whenever I see Angela again, like, you know, we just said, not experiencing fully what love means and how to give that, maybe like a law for, just to give some background. When I was young, obviously I'm from India, and in small villages, every village has a small temple or a church of Shakti, right? Manifested in it's an idol. And what used to happen in those in those villages is that at some point suddenly someone will get a little bit, they say will be possessed by Shakti, and then they'll be sort of swirling with energies, and then they'll share some visions or share something as if maybe something good is going to happen or bad is going to happen and things like that. And then people suddenly will start worshipping that. So back then I used to think, you know, it's all some crazy idea, you know, how can that happen? It's absolute BS. And now, after actually, you know, joining Edgy and then my own journey into this, what I'm trying to become is actually become like you, because what I'm seeing now is Shakti will only come to those who have completely become void of their concepts and constructs and mental barriers.
Exactly right.
they will not come to someone who has these barriers. They will only come to someone who has certain purity in their
Yes.
entire beingness. So what I'm trying to become is trying to become in that, when I say pure, it's more trying to get rid of all these mind barriers,
Yes.
so that I can feel Shakti. So
Yes.
while we are all trying to maybe, go eventually to where Edgy is, you are like the milestone that is before Edgy. So think of it like, before anyone gets there, we have to become like you. So that tells you where you are in this journey. And the only probably difference is that if you feel you're possessed and someone is grabbing you, then you're in a defensive way, as opposed to if you think the reason Shakti is in me is because I am like her. That's why I am, Shakti is with me. And if we go from that construct, I think, there's nothing difference now between you and Shakti. And that's the level that I see you, when you talk or when you're sharing, and when Edgy looks at you and tells, what the energies that you bring and all that. So I just wanted to give this perspective. I don't know if it'll help you or not, but certainly when I look at you, it's like, no, I want to have that level of transient nature, so that, Shakti can actually, I can feel it. I can feel it, so that, I don't have any barriers.
And you're directing this at Angela.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Thank you. Angela, what did you get out of all this? Anything? Everybody loves you. Why don't you feel it?
I can add one more point to it. My main enemy to myself from feeling any of that is that strong ego that I have been having it and holding it, trying to work on that, trying to get rid of it, is the one that makes me not to feel anything, because that ego spins you into the head all the time, because it's an imaginary worshipping of yourself being that form is great, or whatever the crap that is. Trying to get rid of it by different venues, and of course my experiences are pushing me towards that too. Realize that you have bloody ego. Get rid of that. Don't worship your form to be great in others. That's all that kind. That's helping me to, somehow, but looks to me like it's a long way still, Ed. With your blessings, I can make it much faster with your energy. Put me back into the heart. Great.
Vladimir and Lilia have so much to say to each other, but can't say anything to us. What have you been talking about us?
It's not about you. We're just translating each other.
You cannot imagine how difficult to talk me English, because it's not my mother tongue, and it's really so difficult to understand and much difficult to speak English. For me, it's just I'm happy to be here. I have to take something of this, of you, of these satsangs, but it's not yet. I don't know, maybe after years I will speak more fluently and easily, and like you, like everybody, because I'm so jealous how you can speak English that it's really, really problem to me. And my speech is so poor, my vocabulary is so weak that it's maybe 10% of everybody who is speaking here. That's why I prefer to just listen, not to speak.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, it's all right. Well, sit for a second. Do you feel now, especially newcomers, what satsang is all about? It's really singing about the life divine, the feeling of the life force coming alive in you. making you feel wonderful, making you feel like a 12-year-old, but without all the worries of a 12-year-old. Just the joy of being a 12-year-old without being burdened anymore by what you have to make for supper or how to make a living or to pay for the rent. Yeah, you still have to do that. But after you discover the life divine, it doesn't matter. You can still live in the mundane world, doing what you have to do to make a living, to raise the kids, to fix your car, and all of that other stuff. And you don't like doing it really, but it doesn't matter because 5 minutes later, you can be back in the life divine, feeling Shakti within, Shakti being the voice of God, the way he communicates with us through energies, brings our heart awake, our sexual organs awake, full body orgasms that are not sexual, but just the joy of all the chakras firing at once in an integrated form. And you feel the waves of God moving through you, and you know, wow, it was all worth becoming alive just for this, what I experience now. I love you all. I'm there for you. I'm here for you all. But write to me. Write my email if you want. I'd like to hear from you. Take care. I'll see you on Wednesday, hopefully.